rejecting court-imposed restrictions while the legal case continues.
Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson in the nation's capital to explain what this means.
The White House responded to this ruling from the Supreme Court, saying it stands by the FDA's evidence that the abortion medication is safe. President Biden going on to say in a statement that the stakes could not be higher for women in this country. A small group of anti-abortion demonstrators rallied outside of the Supreme Court Friday.
This will determine how pro-life the justices are.
They called on the court to keep the ruling from a federal judge in Texas in place. The ruling struck down the FDA's decade-old approval of what is now the country's most common abortion medication.
When it comes at least to abortion drugs, the FDA has acted in what appears to be a pretty arbitrary way.
Thomas Jipping with the Heritage Foundation says the case is less about the abortion debate and more about the safety protocols used by the FDA.
I think we should all expect that when government agencies like the FDA make decisions, that they should follow the law.
While the case is appealed, the White House asked the Supreme Court to put the ruling on hold.
FDA has the right to approve.
Regardless of the Supreme Court's decision, Democrats in Congress say they will keep pushing for nationwide protections of reproductive rights.
And that means a much more active Congress in pushing back when the Supreme Court does absolutely stupid things that rob women and rob people generally of their rights.
And this issue is already front and center for many heading into the 2024 campaign. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson, back to you.
Turning now to the crisis in Sudan, despite an agreement for a 3-day ceasefire being reached, fighting persisting. So far, deadly clashes have claimed the life of at least one American among the more than 600 confirmed dead. The U.S. military now preparing for the possible evacuation of American citizens amid the fierce fighting. All of this as the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces agreeing to a 3-day ceasefire today. The Pentagon now rushing additional U.S. forces to an area nearby to help in a possible evacuation of the dozens of U.S. embassy personnel now sheltering in place.
If and when there's a decision to move towards some sort of military evacuation, then we'll have more to say about that at the time in terms of size, scale, scope.
Today, the White House saying while the state and defense departments will do everything in their power to keep U.S. government personnel in Sudan safe, other U.S. citizens not affiliated with the government should not be expecting any rescue. The White House urging Americans in Sudan to use commercial options to leave the country. This as the airport in the capital has been pummeled by shelling.
And in a national weather story, fire officials in Fresno County, California, saying the unprecedented snowfall is contributing to potential time bombs in the Sierra. It only takes one spark to destroy a cabin, and the fears are rising for more blasts. Thankfully, there have not been any injuries in any of these explosions, but the Huntington Lake Volunteer Fire Department is saying 4 cabins and 1 outbuilding have been destroyed this year. They fear that toll will rise. There are reports of similar explosions up and down the Sierra, including in Mammoth and Tahoe. Officials saying to remember to report any leaks right away before it becomes a disaster.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
A breezy, cooler night as we end the work week.
Yeah, what can we expect for the weekend, Alana?
Well, we've got some showers that have to dwindle first before we make it to our Earth Day. We start at the ABC4 studios because we've got some rain on the camera. Yeah, another shower popping up on the western end of Salt Lake County. We're not finished totally, but we're going to dwindle when it comes to activity as we near midnight. Zooming in, storm tracker radar sweeping the region, giving you an idea. And again, it's the mountains holding on to this, but also the benches towards Davis County, Spanish Fort Canyon, in portions of Utah County, and then the Rush and Tooele valleys. So wet weather continuing to come down at this hour. And then eventually it's going to dry out. We've got high pressure that's anxious to move on in. Now, Salt Lake has been active. Northwesterly flow keeps us cool. Clouds in eastern Utah. The last several hours we've watched as the Wasatch Front really getting most of that moisture. And as we head into the overnight, we're going to dry statewide. Now, the mountains picking up some accumulating snow. It's why that winter weather advisory is in effect until 6 a.m. And then eventually things calming down. High temperatures 54, so little below average. Temperatures this time of year in the low 60s for Salt Lake, but we were chillier Then that along the Wasatch Front, 60s in Moab, 40s in Vernal, 70s in Cedar City, and those upper 70s in St. George. Dry conditions in the southwest corner of the state, and 77 is pretty. Really nice, actually, in southern Utah. We are going to dry out, which is good news for all those Salt Lake Marathon runners. I know, hitting the pavement tomorrow morning, you're going to want to wear layers because we're going to see the 30s, cold overnight, and we're going to stay cooler as we make it through lunchtime, getting into the upper 40s by noon. So we are going to see that warmth there, as warm as we're going to get. So you want to make sure you bring the jacket. Good luck. Hope you get your personal best. Futurecast shows you what to expect heading into tonight. And it's quiet. We've got clouds and a few stray showers over the Uintas. And then into tomorrow morning, clouds start to dwindle. Okay, we're going to change things up. High pressure taking control, and that's going to allow us to calm things down, and we won't see really much activity until Sunday afternoon. We now have a weak wave ahead of our next storm system that's going to impact us Monday into Tuesday, and this wave brings the chance of precipitation to places like Iron County, Washington County, and towards Kanab. So Kane County, watch as that kind of bumps up and really intensifies as we get later into our Sunday in southern Utah. That wave definitely triggering some showers and rain in the southern half of the state late Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday, the chance of showers will move into the Wasatch Front area. So wet weather to start off our next work week. So enjoy this nice break that we will see for a bulk of Saturday. An isolated storm still possible in the morning, so an isolated shower, you could see one, and then things quieting down. Speaking of quiet, that's our snow forecast. As we zoom in, it's the Uintas picking up the moisture and the cottonwoods. Other than that, the system on the way out. Earth Days tomorrow. We're going to show Mother Nature some love. Earth Day started back in 1970. More than 190 countries participate in Earth Day, and temperatures looking pretty good. 55 for the high in Salt Lake with drier conditions. Upper 70s in St. George. That's going to be gorgeous. Really nice day to get out there and enjoy nature. 40s and 50s along the Wasatch Front, 50s in Moab, 60s in Moab, 50s in Castle Country. And as we zoom in, find your city in the northern portion of the state, backside of the Wasatch, getting into the 40s. Soggy there tonight. Heber saw plenty of rain. We see 50s for those highs in places like Tooele and Ogden. 40s and 50s in central Utah. A mix of sun and clouds for your Saturday. And we do bring in some warmth on Sunday. That high pressure allows for warmer air to move in, and we see the numbers jumping to 80 down south. But then by the afternoon and late day, wet weather shows up. 80s and 70s with the winds at times in the Washington County 7-day there. Here's a check on the Wasatch Front, where we do have the slight chance of an isolated shower in the morning tomorrow. 60s by Sunday, that'll be pretty. Chance of showers Monday and Tuesday, and then we dry out as we head into the middle of the week. Temperatures climb. So all in all, not so bad. These aren't major storms. They're coming through. It's soggy out there. We close out the work week a little unsettled.
Okay, a little break and then some more unsettled.
Yeah, spring showers. You just pack the umbrella. You got to know, spring showers.
Thanks so much, Lana. We appreciate it. Time now for a look at sports with Wesley Ruff.
A chance for the Grizzlies to take a commanding lead tonight.
Be big.
Yeah.
Pick up a couple of wins on the road.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Utah Grizzlies try to pick up another victory away from home in their hockey playoffs. And we'll show you a golfer who's ready to celebrate her 100th birthday, and she plans to do so by playing more golf. We've got her story coming up next in sports.